of flats, including the city center. We have the intelligence that the shelling was from the vicinity of the city of Gorliuka, controlled by the illegal armed formations, and as a result of this crime, 16 people died and 48 were wounded. The specialists of the Special Monitoring Mission of OSCE in Ukraine have arrived promptly at the site, and in their report they say that on the basis of direct observation, photos and analysis of maps, the mission has established that the shelling was conducted from the south-southeast direction. And as you can see from the map, these are the locations occupied by the gunmen. Last night, Kramatorsk, the president of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, visited Kramatorsk. You can see this on the photos and on the screen. "28 civilians and 17 military were delivered to the hospital," says the doctor. "What has happened to you?" "During the shelling, I got wounded in my leg." We demand that immediately and unconditionally, without any preliminary demands, there was a ceasefire, the withdrawal of troops, and the beginning of political dialogue without any interference from outside, and the borders of our country should be reliably closed, the Ukrainian border should be restored, and all the foreign troops should be withdrawn. They have nothing to do here. We will settle the things between ourselves. This is a proof of the use of cassette ammunition against the civilians in Kramatorsk. The head of the state emphasized that he insists on the peaceful option of this solving of conflict in Donbass and will defend this position during today's negotiations in Minsk. During the working trip of Petro Poroshenko, he was accompanied by the well-known French public figure, director, philosopher, and writer Bernard-Henri Lévy, who was shocked by what he saw in Kramatorsk and calls upon the world community to open their eyes to the terrible crimes of pro-Russian gunmen in the east of Ukraine. In the territory of the anti-terrorist operation, the enemy massively shells and attacks the positions of Ukrainian anti-terrorist operation forces in the Baltsovo and Severodonetsk sectors next to the city of Shastia and settlement Stanitsa Luhanska. In the vicinity of the Baltsovo, the gunmen have more than 10 times shelled the positions of Ukrainian military from Grad multiple rocket launchers, artillery, mortars and tanks, out of which they have twice stormed our positions. They also attacked our positions next to Novogrigorivka and Kamenka in Donetsk region and Mius Luhansk region. All the attacks of the enemy were repelled. The Ukrainian troops, after successful tactical actions and the Mariupol sector, have purged the gunmen from Shirokino, Pavlopil, Kominternovo, Berdiansky, Lebedinsky, and Peshchevik. Besides, the Ukrainian artillery has delivered a successful blow on the road checkpoints of terrorist groupings next to Sakhanka and Oktyabr. Over the last 24 hours, 87 gunmen were killed and 42 vehicles, including 12 tanks, 14 multiple rocket launch batteries, and 16 combat armored vehicles. Next to Frunze in Luhansk region, the Ukrainian military have found the have detected the storage of ammunition of an illegal arms formation, and the Ukrainian artilleries have destroyed this storage. Over the last 24 hours, 19 Ukrainian military were killed and 78 were wounded. The gunmen continued to conduct active air reconnaissance using drones. In particular, the flights of 2 drones were detected next to Mariupol and Sartana, and another drone was detected on the administrative border between Kherson region and the Autonomous Republic of Crimea, not far from the control point Kalanchak. The gunmen are systematically ruining Donbass and complicate the life for Donbass residents. As a result of artillery shelling by the militants in Luhansk region, the objects of gas delivery supply were damaged in 4 settlements. However, the teams of Ukrainian repairmen have restored the electricity delivery to to 3 settlements in Telmaniv district of Donetsk region. Yesterday, our special services have detained 3 members of bandit formations. One of the bandits, a 44-year-old resident of the city of Sukhodilsk, was a director of fire of T-64B tank and took part in attacking the positions of Ukrainian military and shellings of peaceful residents. Another gunman from nicknamed Zhuk was detained next to Severodonetsk. He is a 37-year-old resident of Lysychansk. He was collecting the information about the location of Ukrainian units. The third detained person, whose nickname is Gadfly, after the training was serving at the engineering unit of an illegal armed formation, and he was putting mines on the approaches to the road checkpoints of bandits. The Security Service of Ukraine is making public another proof of the fact that the residential blocks in Donetsk are being shelled by the gunmen. In the Amstor region, the mortar has fired. This is a group of dock there. Yes, give them my phone number and we'll do this. Again, yes, I hear this just next to us. They are firing. We are making our way through the streets, through the courtyards. Yes, from the yard, we found it. Yes, next to the Army Benevolent Society. They were working yesterday there. Yes. Here's our guys. No, I won't tell you this over the phone. No, these are our guys. So these are our guys. They are firing. Yes, we found them. They're here in the courtyard. So this was our mortar. Yes, another shot now. Yes, I understood everything. The terrorist nicknamed Titsa during the phone call is moving in a car through the streets of Kuybashevsky district of Donetsk, detecting the precise locations of mortar crews of DNR who are shelling the residential houses. And as the intercepted talk is
servicemen of the Special Task Battalion Lviv managed to evacuate from Logvinovo-Donetsk region the head of the interior forces of Ukraine in Lviv region, Dmitry Zagary, and commander of Battalion of Special Task Force Lviv Igor Volsky. In the result of the explosion of the mortar, the head of the Department of Interior Security in Lviv Railway, Dmitro Ternovy, was killed. In the course of the battle, the militias who were wounded found themselves on the territory controlled by militants. And now all those wounded are evacuated from the zone of ATO. Ukrainian law enforcement forces continue to help the citizens of pre-front settlements. The employees of transportation militia of Donbass work in the enhanced regime, providing assistance in locating the IDPs. From the 1st to the 10th of February this year, to transit points Slavyansk and Konstantinovka, 2,840 IDPs arrived, out of them 140 children. 1,556 persons are transported by railway to places of temporary staying in the safe regions of Ukraine. From Kramatorsk, our bodyguards, at the request of the head of one of the orphanages, helped to evacuate 29 children in the age of from 4 to 7. Also, law enforcers of Mariupol are executing their tasks on securing the order in Sartana. Besides the work of preventing street crimes and looting, the work is going on decreasing the panic among the population. On the 5th of February this year, from 2 o'clock at night, Sartana was shelled at. According to preliminary data, the shelling was coming from the territory temporarily under control of the militants. Now the Mariupol militia is conducting the 24-hour patrol. The rotation of the servicemen of anti-terrorist operation continues. Today, 5 teams of militiamen of Zakarpatska region moved to the east of Ukraine. The militiamen will help their colleagues at checkpoints and patrolling automobile roads and in accompanying the buses with refugees. The international community continues to provide humanitarian support to those who are victims in Donetsk and Lugansk region via the control point Lysychansk for trucks with humanitarian cargo from Red Cross moved and they were crossing. They were transporting more than 7 tons of food products and medications. Besides, from the 6th till the 8th of February in Kurachovo, the Czech humanitarian organization person in disaster, together with regional administration, they organized the distribution of the vouchers for buying food products to the population. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine made public the statement as to violating the rights of Nadia Savchenko by Russian Federation. The ministry expresses their protest in relation with the made on the 10th of February a resolution by Basman Regional Court of Moscow, Russian Federation, on continuing detention of the MP of Ukraine, Nadia Savchenko. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine stresses that the responsibility for the life and health of Nadia Savchenko, which is continuing starvation for 60 days, lies on Russian side. We demand that Russian Federation should immediately liberate Nadia Savchenko and all other political prisoners, citizens of Ukraine. Ukraine feels powerful international support. The President of Ukraine, Poroshenko, had telephone conversations with the President of the U.S., Barack Obama, President of European Council, Donald Tusk, and the Prime Minister of Sweden, Stefan Löfven. And they discussed situation in Donbass and shellings at Kramatorsk. Each one of the leaders expressed support to Ukraine. The House of Representatives of the U.S. Congress submitted the draft law that provides for allocation to Ukraine till 2017, the military assistance, including armaments, for the amount of $1 billion. The Minister of Britain on issues of Europe, David Lidington, stated that his country has intentions to continue supply to Ukraine non-lethal weapons. Your questions to Mr. Lysenko.
I have a question about the shelling of Kramatorsk. There was an information that this was a multiple rocket launcher launch battery Smerch. What are the characteristics of this equipment, and have they shelled only the airfield, or did they target residential districts specifically? The Smerch multiple rocket launcher is one of the powerful self-propelled launchers, and the distance that a rocket can fly is over 90 kilometers. Yesterday, they used the cassette ammunition, which is a violation of all possible international treaties. And we know that the shelling was done by several batteries. It lasted for almost 5 minutes, and the airfield of Kramatorsk and the city itself were under fire. Today we had information about another shelling, but this was not corroborated. What about the precision of the shelling? Did they really aim at the airfield or at the residential districts? You know, this was the limit of the or the flight of the rocket. That's why the rockets were covering several hectares of land, over several hectares. We controlled the Debaltsevo, but what has happened in the Debaltsevo City Department of Police, where we know that the commander of police has died? How many policemen are there? I cannot talk to you about today's situation because we don't have information. No other questions. Thank you very much. And the next briefing on the situation in the anti-terrorist operation zone is tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. and 12:30. Polkovnik Colonel